Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. Number 5 Miami improves to 9-0 on the season, 5-0 in the ACC with the 53-31 win over Duke. Only 3 games left in the regular season. They're going to go at Georgia Tech next week, then a bye week, then back here again against Wake Forest for that home finale. Then they'll wrap up the regular season at Syracuse right after Thanksgiving. There's a lot to talk about with this game. I know many of you have your own thoughts. Definitely drop in the comments below. I always like reading what you have to think about the game. But let's start offensively. Look, another big performance by this offense, and that's what we are continuing to see week in and week out. It's not necessarily anymore about potential or what they could do. It is about what they're doing week in and week out. And again, 526 yards of total offense. They've been having one of the best, or arguably the best offense in the entire country. They're racking up yards, they're racking up points, and it happened again today. Look, they were down 28-17 early in the third quarter. Maybe at that point you felt a little bit nervous, but as I was talking with the reporter after the game, and this is how I kind of view games in the middle of a game, and this was a point where I thought about it, is in the middle of a game, take a step back, and regardless of momentum, but which team would you rather be? And even at that point, when it was 28-17, I think you'd rather be Miami in that point. Playing at home, the offense is going to get more possessions, and you just feel like that the offense is going to continue to make plays, and that's exactly what happened. And Cam Ward just had another big day. You know, the 400 yards passing, the 5 touchdown passes, and this is what you're seeing week in and week out. He did throw an interception, and I found it interesting after the game when he talked about his interception. He's like, look, I'm going to make that play again. You know, it's not one of these things where he feels like a mistake that he makes, it's a bad mistake and he can't come back from it. He just feels like he's a playmaker, and he has said this all throughout the season, and we have seen him make far more big-time plays than mistakes, and that should give you encouragement. He's a confident guy, and again, there's certain plays, yeah, maybe you don't want the mistake, but he's not making many mistakes at all, and that's what I saw today. It was an offense that continued to generate big-time passing yards through the air with what you saw with Xavier Restrepo, the 146 yards, the 3 touchdown performance with the 8 catches. He's now Miami's all-time leading receiver. He deserves a lot of credit for that in his journey, coming in as a 3-star recruit, not a highly regarded guy. You know, one of the lower-ranked guys in this class when he came in. And he's worked really hard, and he's been Miami's best receiver for a few years now, each and every year, and he's really put together a fantastic career. There's no doubt about it, and there's really no stopping him because he's got more to do and another more big games to have down the season. He just continues to make big plays. His 66-yard touchdown was highly impressive, and that's what you're seeing with this offense. And it felt like early on this season, you were seeing an offense that if you just give them opportunities, they're going to continue to make plays, and that's what you're seeing because they do have all their guys, and that makes it very difficult for teams to stop. You know, other guys made big plays too. You know, Jacoby George was with the big 49-yard touchdown there in the second half. You know, Sam Brown, not a lot of opportunities, but he did have a couple 20-yard catches in there, you know, mixing those guys in. Isaiah Horton continues to be productive, and Cam talked about it afterwards about really just, you know, being on the same page with those other 4 guys, in particular with those wide receivers. And I know the tight end production, you know, it's not what it was early on in the year, but they're still a highly productive offense. And that's the point with all of this. You know, they've got a lot of options, and they're just going to be, and as we've seen all year long, they're just a hard offense to slow down. So Cam also talked about it. It was shared by Coach Cristobal, and then Cam talked about it, but Coach Cristobal shared a story in the offseason where, you know, in terms of kind of getting that connection with receivers, and Cristobal didn't mention the receiver by name, but did say there was a receiver that was working out away from with the NFL guy, and Cam's kind of message to him was, you know, you're not in the NFL, you know, I'm a quarterback kind of a mentality, and I think that helped set the tone, and the receiver came down and worked out with Cam, you know, after that response, and I think that they've done a really good job of kind of fast-tracking this connection between Cam and the wide receivers, and it showed on the field. It has shown all season long, and just more big plays out of this offense. And it should be noted, you know, Duke came in with a top 3 pass defense in the ACC. It was their rush defense that they really struggled with, and it happened early on. You know, Cam going 5 of 7 for 72 yards and a touchdown on that first drive. and really setting the tone. I felt like that he was going to be able to pass on this team, and I like that. I've been talking about this quite a bit. Like, I want Miami to continue to place a strong emphasis on throwing the ball while mixing in a little bit of the run, and that's what I saw today. It was good to see those backs get some yards, each one of them with Martinez and Fletcher, each going over 60 yards, and Fletcher getting that score. So that's good. That's what I want to see. I want to see those productive runs as well, making sure they're getting first downs, because I think that's what you can expect from the run game, and be productive in terms of getting first downs or getting positive yardage, and certainly making plays inside the red zone. So sticking with red zone opportunities, Miami had 6 of them in this game. 4 of them went for touchdowns. They had the 2 passing, the 2 rushing. They also had a field goal in there, and then the turnover came inside the red zone. So overall, pretty productive for this offense. They've been one of the best teams in the ACC, as they are with a lot of offensive stats. So just an overall, my final thoughts on the offense, just a highly productive day. You can nitpick if you want about how they could make their offense a little bit better here or there, but I still think they're on a really good track. Obviously, but with their production, with what they've been able to do week in and week out, a really good track to getting to Charlotte, only 3 games remaining. And then again, as I've said, as we've kind of seen how this will shake out, depending on how these last few games in the month go, will determine, for me at least, how it'll look in the ACC championship game. But there's no doubt about it, because of this offense, they certainly have a good chance of winning the ACC this year. Now defensively, look, I understand when you're watching this game, and I was doing the same thing watching it. It did look shaky at times, but this defense deserves a lot of credit for their performance in this game with how it ultimately ended up. With the 3 guys in the secondary getting interceptions, great to see, and they had pass breakups as well. So they're getting some hands on some balls there. And Malik Murphy, was able to throw the ball a little bit at times. But then again, the defense, particularly in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, really did a great job of really, tightening up. And that's what you want to see from a defense. You want them to be able to play well in moments. And I think that's what you can expect. That's what you can hope to expect. I think expecting this defense to have a complete game, start to finish, I just don't think that's the kind of defense this is, but they can be good in moments, or in games like this where it's tight at times when they're down 28-17. They tighten up again, like I said, and then also in the fourth quarter, they only allowed the 3 points while the offense was able to get rolling, and they put up 21 points. I understand complementary football, but that doesn't always mean that both sides of the ball have to be at the same level. I think the defense, again, just play well enough and give your offense a chance to make plays, and that's what I saw today. The 31 points, if you take that, just as a whole, yeah, it's a little bit too many points to give up going into a game. But as we've seen week in and week out, this offense is more than capable of scoring more than 31 points in a game, and I don't think it's going to be an issue with this defense down the stretch in these final 3 games. And just adding to the defense too, I think they deserve a lot of credit in terms of, in a game like today when it wasn't looking good, they weren't playing well. Again, it wasn't a 4-quarter performance by any means with this defense, but they're doing a good job of really just kind of hanging in there, and like I said, that 28-17, and at that point Duke was getting it going. They're scoring touchdowns, and some of those touchdowns, they were going in untouched. It didn't look good, and even with that, for whatever, however they're able to kind of get it going, and play better, they're doing a good job of it, of just staying within the game and just kind of continuing to keep getting out there and then make plays when they can, and not really get too concerned about giving up a lot of plays. And that's what we saw, and I keep referring back to this because this was where they were essentially the most vulnerable. But that Cal game, when they gave up 4 plays over 50 yards, and yet they were still able to tighten up in the fourth quarter. So I think that's what this defense is. I still think that they can make big plays, particularly with, like we saw with some interceptions. It was good downfield on those plays, like I said. And then also with the defensive line, I think those guys have opportunities to make plays too. And I think that's what it's going to be. Just kind of throughout the game, they've got to be able to string some series together, because you can't allow a team just to continue to rack up touchdowns every single drive, and then it definitely becomes more pressure on the offense. But they're doing enough, and they're getting enough stops, and they're getting them in important parts. And I think that's what this defense is, And I think it's good enough right now, again, to kind of win these next 3 games, but certainly every game is its own entity. Just kind of final thoughts here, wrapping this up and thinking about how there's only 3 games remaining. Look, I think one of the things that I'm kind of noticing with this team throughout the year, when they get down by double digits, and especially with the offense, they just have a lot of confidence that they're good. They know they're good, and on offense, that's essentially where you'd rather be good at, in my mind, because you can come back, you can make plays, you can change the momentum, and I think it's much easier to do, especially with a passing offense. And Cam talked about it after the game. Look, he knows the importance of a run game, and when I do talk about the run game, I hope I'm not just completely ignoring it, but he said it, and I just truly believe it, that you've got to be able to pass the ball in college football. The results completely are showing on the field, and like I said, you can nitpick things if you want, but there's just a lot of positives going on with this program and this team right now. And I think it's exciting to watch, and I think it's just going to continue. So thanks again for watching. But like I said from the beginning, drop in the comments below what has you most excited or most concerned about this team with where they're at right now. And also too, your expectations. What do you expect from this team? Because I think that's a big thing. Are you expecting and hoping a national title? I think you have to change your viewpoints a certain way. Is it winning an ACC? Is it just getting to the ACC title game or the college football playoff? But definitely drop in the comments below. I appreciate you watching. Definitely enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks again for your support, and take care.